Hey Rebels, how we doing today? Good morning. Thank you for joining me. I've got my coffee. Hopefully you do too. If you are a West Coast friend, thank you for being up really early and joining me. Even if you're watching this later, please come in and say hi. And if you're like me, you probably drink coffee all day, so it's fine. I want to talk about manifesting with you, and I want to talk about what to do with negative thoughts when you're manifesting. I think that a lot of people make the mistake of trying to skip over any kind of negative thoughts that come their way. And I do think that's a big mistake because those negative thoughts can actually help you. The other thing about negative thoughts when you're trying to manifest, if you're not bringing awareness to them, if you're like doing this while you're like, there's a fear over here or a doubt or whatever going on, if you're doing that, it's still affecting you. Just because you're not bringing awareness to your conscious mind with that thought, it doesn't mean that it's not still jamming up the signal that you're sending out. Okay? Make sense? All right. So here's what I want you to do. First things first, when you have negative thoughts coming in, I want you to bring awareness to them. I want you to pay attention to what they are. I would love it if you wrote them down because journaling about stuff like that is really, really helpful. So first things first, awareness, and then write them down. What kind of negative thoughts are they? What are they pointing at? The other thing I want you to do is to not take them at surface value. All right? Because those negative thoughts that you have are not really the actual fear that you have. They're not really the thing in your way. It's the stuff at the surface that your ego has chosen to focus on. Okay? So, like, I'll give you an example. I get to fly across the country to the West Coast, to Oregon, this coming weekend, and I get to be a speaker. And so there's lots of things I could be nervous about, right? But the thing that my brain has chosen to worry about is what I'm going to wear. Of course, I'm not really nervous about that, but that's an easy one to focus on because I have control of that. Makes sense? So it's important to look like, what is it that I'm focusing on? And what can I do? What can I do to look at that and undo it a little and go, what's really behind this? What is this really pointing at? What am I actually worried about? And why have I chosen this as the thing I'm going to focus on? Okay? The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to start to ask yourself questions around this negative thought or this fear or this doubt or whatever is coming up to you. So I want you to ask yourself questions, but I want you to ask better questions than the ones you're probably already asking yourself. So people will ask themselves questions that are just terrible. The way that your brain works is that even if it doesn't know the answer, it answers. Okay, so if I said to you, why is the sky blue? Your brain is going to answer that question. It's going to search its files and come up with something. Even if it's incorrect, even if it's a guess, your brain has to answer when you're asked a question. It just does. Now, you don't always bring a ton of awareness to it. You might kind of just ignore what it came up with because you're like, I'm pretty sure I don't know that anywhere in my brain. But it's going to come up with an answer. So if you're asking yourself things like, why am I so broke? Why don't I already have love? Why don't I have more clients? Why this? Why am I such an idiot? Your brain is going to answer that. And that's going to be thoughts going out around the thing you're thinking about. Ugh. And those thoughts trigger yucky emotion. So it's important to bring awareness to them because you can catch yourself from asking yourself these terribly awful questions. And you can ask better ones like, why am I so passionate about getting this? Why do I deserve love? Why do I deserve to have this? Why am I so capable? Asking yourself questions like that, your brain will answer. You'll have an answer. And some of the answers might be, and some of them might be like, wow, that's a nice belief I have there. I want to work on bringing that out more. Okay? The last thing that I want you to do is to understand that negative thoughts and fears are they're like little flags that your own resistance waves to say, hey, there's a limitation here. Could you make an adjustment? Sorry, my phone just decided to ring. Could you make, it's the universe calling because it likes this topic. Could you make an adjustment in this spot? You have resistance here because you're bumping into a limitation that you have. You have placed a limitation on yourself. And so these negative thoughts are causing resistance, right? Because it's not saying you're not worth it. It's saying you need to shift your beliefs. You've limited yourself right here. So what do those negative limiting thoughts, what do they say? Like, what are they pointing out to you that you have a belief that's maybe too small? Okay, so look at that stuff and see, what can I do? What can I shift? What can I change around in the way that I look at my own negative thoughts? Everybody has them. Everybody has negative thoughts. I don't care if you do yoga for 20 hours a day and you say an affirmation and tattoo them all over your body and are covered in crystals and essential oils and I don't know, wear angel wings all day. You still have negative thoughts. It's part of the process. You have intuition and ego. Your negative thoughts are there to actually help you if you use them that way. But doing this and ignoring them and saying, I'm only going to have positive thoughts, that's not going to work, friends. It's never worked. Go ask somebody who does that. It does not work because you're not bringing awareness to something that could help you. Now, you don't want to obsess over negative thoughts. You don't want to let them consume you. You don't want to take them as truth. If you're taking your negative thoughts as truth, then they will absolutely stop you. If you've decided that you're a victim to whatever your negative thought is, and it's more powerful than you and you might as well give up or not try, then yes, your negative thought has derailed you. So you want to look at those negative thoughts, bring awareness to them, and then work on having them help you move forward, not be a reason to stay still or move backwards. Okay? So bring awareness to them. Journal about them. Doing that does not interrupt the law of attraction at all, because the negative thoughts are already there. There are already doubts and limits in you, and they're just pointing them out, right? They're symptoms of those limitations. So it's kind of like how we exist in our medical world, right? Let's just treat a bunch of symptoms and ignore what's probably the root cause of a problem. That's sort of like doing that, like ignoring the symptoms and never even looking down at what's going on below the surface, okay? What's causing that? Why are those limiting thoughts and negative thoughts and limiting beliefs? Why are those there? What are they pointing out? What can I do? Because they're already there. Those limits are already part of your energy going out, all right? So not looking at them and having, sunshine and rainbows coming out of your ass all day is not going to improve anything for you. But looking at them, taking them and using them for something positive to help you move forward, bringing awareness to them, making adjustments around them, and finding out what they're pointing out to you as a limit, that will create magic for you. Then they will help you move forward. Okay? So I want you to try that. I want you to bring awareness to those negative thoughts, and I want you to tell me how it goes. All right? Thanks for watching. See you later, guys. Bye.